Greetings everyone, be very welcome to my channel. Reddit Realms is your place to unwind and immerse yourself in some of Reddit's most interesting stories. Tonight we embark on a journey to r/pot Unsolved Mysteries. For those tuning in for the first time, each day I read real stories from Reddit, perfect for decompressing, finding a moment of tranquility, or simply enjoying a quiet break during your studies. Before we delve in, I encourage you to share in the comments where you're tuning in from. And if you're keen on more content of this nature, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So, get comfortable, prepare your favorite drink, and let's begin our exploration into today's compilation of experiences. The Vanishing Neighbor, the woman who left without taking anything. I moved into Maple Hill Apartments in 2018, a pretty average mid-sized complex in upstate New York. The kind of place where everyone nods politely in the hallway, but doesn't really talk. My next-door neighbor, apartment 2B, was a woman named Lena, mid-30s, dark curly hair, quiet but friendly. She worked odd hours, sometimes I'd see her leaving at 3 a.m., sometimes getting home at noon. She told me she was a night shift nurse. We weren't close, but we had that casual neighbor rapport, small talk in the mailroom, holding the elevator for each other, trading leftover cookies at Christmas. Then one morning she was just gone. It started with the smell, a weird, faint sweetness in the hallway that I assumed was someone's candle or maybe a spill, but it didn't fade for days. After about a week, the property manager, Carol, knocked on Lena's door. No answer. I was standing in my doorway at the time, pretending to check my mail. Carol used the master key. The apartment was spotless, furniture perfectly in place, bed made, dishes washed. Nothing looked packed or disturbed. The weird part? The fridge was full, milk, leftovers, a half-eaten cake. Her purse was on the counter, her shoes were by the door, but her phone and car were gone. Carol looked confused but said maybe Lena moved out in a hurry. But how do you move out without taking anything except your car and phone? A few days later, Lena's silver Honda was found in the grocery store parking lot a few blocks away. Locked, nothing inside except a folded grocery list and a coffee cup. Her bank cards were never used again. The police did a wellness check, then a missing person report. They questioned everyone in the building. I told them the last time I saw her was on a Thursday night around 2 a.m. She was coming up the stairs holding a bag of cat food. She had a grey tabby named Milo. She smiled and said, "He eats better than I do," then went inside. That was the last time anyone saw her. Milo was still in the apartment when Carol opened it, thin but alive. Someone must have been feeding him at first. There was fresh food in his bowl, but no one knows who. Over the next few months, rumors spread. Some people said she ran off with a guy. Others whispered about the hospital she supposedly worked at, that maybe she saw something she shouldn't have. But when police contacted local hospitals, none had an employee named Lena Graves. I tried calling her number once, straight to voicemail. The message wasn't the default robotic voice, it was her, calm, casual. "Hey, it's Lena. You know what to do." Except, about 2 weeks after the disappearance, when I tried again, it said, "This number is no longer in service." Then came the first letter. In November, about 2 months later, everyone in our building got an envelope in the mail. No return address, just the words Maple Hill Residence typed neatly. Inside was a single sheet of paper that read, "You might think you know what happened to her. You don't." That was it. No signature. Police came again, took statements, but nothing ever came of it. After that, weird little things kept happening. A light flickering in her apartment, though it was supposed to be empty. The scent of that same sweet smell, like burnt sugar, coming and going in the hall. One night, I woke up around 3:12 a.m., the exact time she used to leave for work, and saw from my peephole that her door, which had been locked and sealed with police tape, was open. Just slightly. By the time I worked up the nerve to check again, it was closed. I told myself maybe Carol or maintenance had come by, but when I asked her, she swore no one had entered since the police cleared it. Eventually, new tenants moved in, a young couple. They painted the walls and changed the locks, but within a few weeks they moved out. No explanation, just left one night. Carol said they broke the lease and didn't even ask for their deposit back. Update 8 months later. I moved out of Maple Hill last spring. Honestly, I couldn't shake the weirdness anymore, but I stayed in touch with one other former tenant, Marcus, from 3C. Last week, he texted me a photo of a missing persons flyer taped to a light post in a nearby town. It was Lena, same photo from the police file, except this flyer wasn't old. It looked freshly printed, dated 3 days earlier. I checked the police website and her case is still listed as open, no new leads. But here's the part that really got to me. Marcus said the flyer wasn't posted in town. It was found in the woods, stapled to a tree on a hiking trail, and on the bottom corner in small handwriting, someone had written, "Don't look for her on the map, look under it." He thought it was a prank. I did too, until yesterday. Yesterday I got a letter. Same neat typing as before, no return address. Inside, a single line, "You left too soon." No signature, no explanation. The postmark? Maple Hill. Some mysteries don't fade. They wait, quietly, for someone to come back. Our next story starts with a man who inherited an old house from a relative he never met. And the reason the previous owner's will included one bizarre instruction: never open the second basement door. The second basement door, when my Uncle Daniel died, he left me his house in rural Pennsylvania. We weren't close. In fact, I hadn't seen him since I was a kid. My mum used to call him the family hermit. He lived alone, no wife or kids, rarely came to holidays. Still, when the lawyer told me I was the sole heir, I thought, why not? I was between jobs, my lease was up, and I figured I could fix the place up and sell it. The house was built in the 1950s, a one-story brick place with peeling paint and an overgrown yard. When I got there, the air smelled like dust and something faintly metallic, like old pipes, but it wasn't falling apart, just untouched. The weird part came when I found his will. Buried among the usual "leave this to so-and-so" stuff was a single line written in his own handwriting: never open the second basement door. I actually laughed when I read it. I figured it was a joke, maybe some old superstition or weird prank. But the more I thought about it, the more it bothered me. Second basement door? I'd only seen one. The normal wooden one leading down from the kitchen hallway. So of course, curiosity got the better of me. When I went down to the basement, I realized what he meant. The first door, the one from upstairs, opened onto a small concrete basement filled with boxes, an old freezer, and a workbench covered in tools. But on the far wall, half hidden behind a bookshelf, there was another door, metal, industrial looking, with a padlock so rusted it was practically fused shut. No windows, no sign of what was beyond. Just that cold grey door sitting there like it had no business being in a house this ordinary. For the first week, I ignored it. I had plenty of normal stuff to deal with. Cleaning, fixing leaks, clearing out junk. But the door started to get under my skin. Sometimes, when I was in the basement, I'd swear I could hear something faint coming from behind it. Not movement exactly, more like a hum, low, constant, like the sound a refrigerator makes, except deeper. I told myself it was probably a pipe or old wiring, but the breaker box didn't show anything running back there. Then I started noticing small changes. Every morning when I came downstairs, the padlock on that metal door looked different, like it had shifted slightly. Once it was hanging from the latch instead of locked. Once it was upside down. I took photos each time, thinking maybe I was imagining it. But no, the photos didn't lie. One night I heard a thump, loud enough that I sat straight up in bed. It came from below me, the basement. I grabbed a flashlight and went down. The air was heavy, almost humming with pressure. I aimed the light at the far wall. The padlock was on the floor, that was it. I left it there and went back upstairs. The next morning the lock was back on the latch, still open but hanging neatly. That was when I called the lawyer who handled my uncle's estate. I asked if he knew anything about the house, or that strange note. He paused for a long time, then said, "Mr. Harper was particular. He told me once that the basement had been modified for his research. He didn't elaborate." "What kind of research?" I asked. "Something about resonance and containment." I assumed it was physics related. Except my uncle wasn't a scientist. He was a retired electrician. That night I dreamt about the door. I could see it in the dark, vibrating, like it was breathing. When I woke up, I could still hear the hum in my ears, so I decided to open it. It took 2 days to get the lock off. The metal had corroded so badly that I had to cut it with a hacksaw. When I finally pulled it free, I felt this sharp static charge, like touching a doorknob after shuffling on carpet. The door groaned open. Behind it was another room, smaller, circular, lined with metal sheeting. The air was cold and dry, like a hospital room that hadn't been touched in years. In the center sat a table. On it, a reel-to-reel tape recorder and a notebook. I hit play. At first, just static. Then a voice, my uncle's, murmuring, "Test number 12, still containment drift. If anyone finds this, don't open the door. It doesn't like when you look at it." Then silence. The tape ran another minute, then ended with a faint scratching noise. I opened the notebook. Most of it was filled with equations and half-finished diagrams, but the last page made my stomach drop. The sound isn't coming from outside the door, it's coming from behind me. I closed everything, backed out, and locked the door again. Or tried to. The latch wouldn't align, like the frame had shifted by a few millimeters. For the next few days, the house felt wrong. The hum was constant now, faint but ever present, like tinnitus that followed me from room to room. Then one night I woke up to find every light in the house flickering. Not on and off, but pulsing, like the power was sinking to a rhythm. I went to the basement. The metal door was open again, and the hum was louder, almost a pressure vibrating in my chest. I shined the flashlight in, and for a split second I thought I saw someone standing in the far corner of the room, just a silhouette. Then the light flickered, and it was gone. I slammed the door shut, threw the padlock back on, and drove to a motel. The next morning when I came back, the basement was silent. The hum was gone. But on the kitchen table was the notebook, open to a new page that hadn't been there before. Containment stable again. Don't leave the door open this time. I moved out that afternoon. I rented the house for a while. No one lasted more than a month. One tenant said they couldn't sleep because of the buzzing under the floor. Another claimed they heard a voice whispering from the vents. When I sold the property last year, I didn't mention the door. 2 months ago, the new owner tracked me down on Facebook. She sent one message. "Do you know what this key is for?" Attached was a photo of a small brass key on a chain. My uncle's initials were engraved on it. I never replied, but this week someone left a package on my porch. No return address. Inside, the same brass key, and a note that said, "You forgot to lock it." Some doors are meant to stay closed, not because of what's behind them, but because of what follows when they open. Our next story begins when a police dispatcher receives a call from a missing person, 3 years after they were declared dead. The 911 call. From the dead woman, I've worked as a 911 dispatcher for 12 years, long enough to know that sometimes the line between weird and unexplainable gets blurry. People call in panicked, half-coherent, misreporting what they see. Stress does that. Usually, if you dig enough, there's a rational explanation, but there's one call that still keeps me up at night. It happened on March 17th, 2020. I was working the night shift, the quiet stretch between 2 and 6 a.m., when most calls are domestic disputes, noise complaints, or the occasional DUI. Around 3:24 a.m., one of the lines lit up. I answered with the usual script. 911, what's your emergency? Silence. Then a woman's voice, low and shaky. Please, he's back. I straightened in my chair. Ma'am, can you tell me your location? No answer. Just static, then her breathing, fast and shallow. Ma'am, I need your address so we can send help, she whispered. Maple Street, 42 Maple. That was less than 10 miles away. I typed it in and signaled the patrol car on that route. What's your name? I asked. She hesitated. Claire. The way she said it sounded like she was trying to remember. Okay, Claire, who's back? Are you in danger? There was a long pause, then she said, He shouldn't be here. They said he couldn't come back. Static filled the line again, that warbly, underwater kind of static that messes with the signal. I tapped the console. Claire, are you safe right now? Is he in the house? And then, faintly, he's in the basement. The way she said it made my skin crawl. I've handled hundreds of domestic calls. You learn to recognize when someone's scared, angry, hysterical. This wasn't that. It was resignation. I relayed the info to dispatch. Officer Ruiz confirmed he was en route. ETA 6 minutes. I kept her talking. Claire, I want you to find a safe room. Somewhere you can lock the door. Can you do that? No answer. Just breathing. Then a soft sound, like the phone brushing against fabric. Then she whispered, "He knows I called." The line went dead. Ruiz arrived 7 minutes later. He radioed in, said the house looked dark, no movement. The front door was unlocked. A minute later, he reported, "Basement doors open, going down." Then silence. 30 seconds passed. Then his voice, tight. "Control, there's nobody here. Basement's empty, no sign of struggle." He confirmed there was no Claire, no man, nothing. They checked the rest of the house, vacant, dust everywhere, mail stacked at the door, utilities shut off. Property records showed the house had been abandoned for almost 3 years. I double-checked the address, 42 Maple Street. Same number. I thought maybe I misheard her, so I replayed the call. And that's when things got stranger. The recording wasn't the same. The original live feed I'd heard, with her breathing, her whispering, was gone. The saved audio was 3 minutes of faint static. No voice at all. Our system logs every word, so there should have been a transcript. But the automatic voice recognition field was empty, blank. I asked our IT guy to pull the raw data. He looked spooked and said, "The file's corrupted, like physically glitched. That shouldn't even be possible." I didn't sleep that day. The next night I pulled the archive. We keep recordings for 7 years, so I searched the address, 42 Maple Street. Only one hit popped up, a call from February 2017. Same number, same name, Claire Miller. The caller ID was the same down to the last digit. That's when my stomach dropped, because Claire Miller was dead. I looked up the police report. She'd been murdered in that same house in 2017. Her husband, Michael Miller, confessed, said he found her standing in the basement staring at the wall, and something told him she wasn't his wife anymore. He was convicted, died in prison 2 years later. But the thing is, the call from 2020 came from the same phone number listed in that case file. That number should have been disconnected. I ran a carrier lookup. It came back inactive since 2017. No service, no billing record, but I heard her. I still have my handwritten notes from that night. Timestamps, details. I even remember how she said her name. The department told me to chalk it up to a signal error. But a month later, Ruiz, the responding officer, stopped by my desk. He dropped an envelope in front of me. "You didn't get this from me." Inside was a printed photo. Body cam stills from that night. In the frame, the basement stairs, dusty, undisturbed. But if you looked closely at the far right corner, you could just make out a shape. Not clear enough to identify, almost like a blur caught mid-motion. The timestamp read 03:29:44 AM. I answered her call at 03:24:18, 5 minutes apart. That's not the part that bothers me most, though. What bothers me is what happened 6 months later. It was a Sunday morning shift. The line blinked, new incoming call. I answered automatically, half asleep. 911, what's your emergency? A woman's voice said, "Is this Officer Ruiz?" I froze. "This is the emergency line. Who is this?" Silence. Then she said, "Tell him not to come back." The doors open again. The call cut. I checked the log. The number was unlisted. No record, no trace. I turned to the call list and my blood ran cold. The timestamp was 03:24:18 AM. Exactly the same minute as the first call. We pulled Ruiz's dashcam footage from that original night again. At 03:24:18, the camera flickered. One frame of static. Then, for a single second, an image of the house appeared with its lights on. They'd been off when he arrived. A few weeks later, Ruiz requested a transfer to another department. He wouldn't tell anyone why, but a month after that, he stopped showing up entirely. His phone went straight to voicemail. His apartment was empty when they checked. All he left behind was a scrap of paper taped to his fridge. It's not her voice. Since then, 42 Maple Street has been condemned. The city boarded it up, citing structural damage. But I drove by once just to see it for myself. The boards were nailed across every window and door, except the basement entrance. That one was open a crack. and I swear as I drove past, my radio, which wasn't even tuned to dispatch frequencies, picked up faint static. Then a woman's voice whispered, "He's back." The sound came and went so fast I thought I'd imagined it, but later when I got home, I checked my phone. I always record long shifts for training. At 03:24:18, the exact second the static hit, there's a voice in the background of the recording, so faint you'd miss it if you weren't listening for it. It says, "You shouldn't have answered. Update, posted 1 year later." I don't work dispatch anymore. I quit 3 months after that last call, but I still keep in touch with some of the team. Last week, one of them, Erin, texted me out of the blue. She said she was cataloging old case files for training, and when she searched Maple Street, a new log entry appeared. Call received March 17th, 2024. Same date, same time, same voice. The note in the transcript field read, "System error, duplicate entry detected." Except the file wasn't blank this time. Erin sent me the audio. It was only 14 seconds long. A woman whispers, "He's not gone." Then another voice, a man's, deeper, distorted, says, "You left the door open again." And right before the static cuts out, you can hear the faint echo of someone breathing. 2 people, maybe 3. Erin swears she didn't touch anything, but now that call keeps reappearing in the system, time-stamped to the current year, again and again. Every time they delete it, another copy shows up. Different file name, same message. And last night, around 3:24 a.m., I got a voicemail from an unknown number. No caller ID, just 14 seconds of silence. Then, faintly, her voice. "He's in the basement. I checked the metadata this morning. It was sent from my own phone number." Some calls are never disconnected. Some lines never go silent. Our next story starts with a local news segment about a time capsule found beneath a demolished library, and what the footage revealed when the tape was played backwards. The time capsule tape. In 1998, the town I grew up in buried a time capsule under the front steps of the old public library. It was part of some centennial celebration. Local businesses donated trinkets, kids wrote letters to their future selves, and the mayor gave a speech about preserving our history for the next generation. I was 9 years old then. I remember standing there with my class, holding a Polaroid of us smiling awkwardly in front of the library doors. We dropped it into a metal box and watched them lower it into the ground. Then life went on. The library was torn down in 2022 to make way for condos. Nobody really thought about the time capsule until the demolition crew found a sealed steel cylinder beneath the concrete foundation. They turned it over to the Historical Society, who decided to host a small public event for the opening. I only found out about it because someone posted in our town's Facebook group. Time capsule opening, Saturday at 4 p.m. Come relive 1998. It felt nostalgic, so I went. They held the event in the new community center. Maybe 20 people showed up, mostly older folks and a few curious teenagers. The cylinder looked weirdly pristine for being buried so long, just a few scratches and rust spots. They cut it open with a small circular saw, sparks flying. Inside were the usual things, a VHS tape labeled Town Highlights 98, a few newspapers, some photos, a list of names, and a sealed letter from the mayor. People laughed as they passed around the old Polaroids and Beanie Babies, but everyone wanted to see what was on the tape. The Historical Society director, this sweet older woman named Joyce, said she'd play it later that week at the center's screening room and digitize it for the town's archive. That should have been the end of it. Except 2 days later, Joyce called the police. No one really knows what she saw, but according to the incident report, she called 911 around 9:17 p.m., saying she was seeing people on the screen who shouldn't be there. By the time officers arrived, she was sitting outside on the curb, shaking. She wouldn't go back inside. The tape was still running on the TV, and that's when the first rumor started. Someone who'd been on scene said it wasn't just town footage, it was recent. Recent. Apparently, it showed a shot of the library steps, filmed from the same angle as the 1998 clip. But the building was already gone, just dirt and scaffolding. In the video, the camera slowly panned left, toward where the new condos were being built. and then it zoomed in on a window on the third floor. Inside that window was a figure standing perfectly still, facing the camera. They said it looked like Joyce, except she was wearing the same outfit she'd had on that night. The police report called it a possible editing trick or malfunction. The tape was taken for analysis and later misplaced. No one ever saw Joyce again after that night. Her daughter told the local paper she moved away to stay with family, but no one could say which family. The community center quietly removed all mention of the time capsule event from their website. About a month later, a local YouTuber, one of those amateur urban explorer types, uploaded a video titled, "What They Don't Want You to See, the Lost Library Tape." It was only live for 2 hours before it got taken down, but I managed to watch most of it before it disappeared. It started with him breaking into the demolition site, showing the rubble where the library used to be. Then he pulled out a VHS cassette, said he'd gotten it from someone on the inside. The label read the same, Town Highlights 98. He set up a small CRT TV in what looked like his garage and hit play. At first it was normal, clips of kids at the park, the mayor giving a speech, the school band playing Louie Louie. Then the footage glitched, the screen flickered, and suddenly it wasn't 1998 anymore. The camera was in the same spot, but everything around it looked newer. Same street, same angle, just modern, and the timestamp in the corner read 03/21/24, 9:17 p.m. That was the night Joyce called 911. The camera started zooming slowly toward the empty lot where the library had stood. In the distance, you could see a person walking toward the camera, faint, blurry. The closer they got, the clearer it became that their clothes didn't fit the time period, like they were from the 90s. Baggy jeans, windbreaker, white sneakers. When they were about 10 feet from the camera, the image cut to static. Then it came back, and the person was gone, but the camera was still running, pointed at the same spot. Then the VHS audio track picked up something faint, a voice, soft, muffled, but unmistakably saying, "We're still here." That's when the YouTuber stopped the tape. You could hear him breathing hard behind the camera. He said, "This isn't edited, the timestamp matches tonight." He rewound the tape. Manually, you could hear the whirring. Then he slowed it down, frame by frame. At the moment right before the static hit, there's one frame where the figure's face becomes clear. It was Joyce, smiling, but the reflection in her glasses wasn't the camera. It was another person standing behind her, someone wearing the same 1998 high school Letterman jacket I had in my class photo. And then the video just ended. No outro, no explanation. When I tried to revisit the channel later that night, it was gone, deleted completely. A few people on Reddit archived stills from the video before it vanished. You can still find them floating around, low res, grainy, but enough to make out what looks like a VHS overlay that says playing backwards. Thing is, the YouTuber never mentioned reversing the tape. 2 weeks later, someone posted in our town subreddit saying they'd found another copy of the VHS at a thrift store, inside an unmarked plastic sleeve. The user uploaded a few screenshots saying they'd play it that night. Their post was deleted the next morning. Their account too. Local news ran one short segment about the whole thing before dropping it. The anchor said police had confiscated sensitive historical material. That's when I decided to go back myself. The condos had been finished by then. 3 stories, generic beige siding. I drove out there one evening after work. The sun was setting, sky orange over the empty parking lot. I walked around to where the old library steps had been. You could still see the faint outline in the concrete where the foundation used to start. And there, tucked behind one of the new building's drain pipes, was something metallic. A small cylinder, identical to the original time capsule, just smaller. No label, no rust. I picked it up. It was sealed tight, but there was a faint rattle inside. I didn't open it. I took it home, left it on my kitchen table, and stared at it for an hour. Then I noticed something. On the bottom of the cylinder, etched faintly into the metal, were the words, "Do not play backwards." That night, I woke up to the sound of my TV turning on by itself. Static filled the screen, and then, for half a second, an image, me. standing in my kitchen, holding the capsule. Except I was smiling. I unplugged the TV and threw the capsule in the trash the next morning. But when I came home from work that evening, it was back, sitting exactly where I'd left it on the table. The etched words looked deeper now, almost freshly carved. I decided to get rid of it for good. I drove 20 miles out of town, found an old quarry, and tossed it in. When I got back, my phone buzzed with a notification. Unknown number, no text, just a video attachment. It was 4 seconds long. The first 3 seconds were static. The last second showed the bottom of a dark lake, silt, bubbles rising, then the cylinder sinking out of frame. The timestamp read 03/21/24, 09:17 p.m. The same as the 911 call from the dead woman. Update, posted 6 months later. Someone left a package on my doorstep last night. No return address, just a strip of old duct tape holding it shut. Inside was a VHS tape, no label. I don't even own a VCR anymore. But curiosity got the better of me. I borrowed one from a thrift store, plugged it into my laptop capture card, and hit play. It started with static, loud, distorted. Then a title card appeared in that old 90s camcorder font. Town Highlights 98, revisited. Then footage of the old library steps. Except I wasn't watching past footage. I was watching myself, right then, sitting in my living room staring at the screen. The camera panned slightly as if whoever was filming was standing just outside the window behind me. Then the image reversed. The entire clip started playing backwards, sound and all, warbled, deep, unnatural. But buried in the audio, slowed down, was a voice whispering, "Don't let them bury it again." I paused the tape, and for a split second before the image froze, I saw the reflection of the screen in the window behind me. Someone was standing there, wearing a library name tag, Joyce, smiling, and holding the same capsule I threw away.